Transforming yourself into a whole new person can be a challenging and also a very rewarding process. Here are some steps and insights that will help. In this video, I'm going to dive into the why it would be beneficial to transform into a new person. I'm going to talk about how you need to understand yourself in order to transform. We're going to dive into some of the strategies and tactics and skills that I've learned along the way of transforming myself and also being a coach who helps others transform. And finally, I'll give you some very concrete things that you can do right away to start your transformation. Let's go. First and foremost, it's really important that you understand why you want to transform and that you build up desire for that transformation. That's because it can get really tough. When you are transforming into something new, into someone new, what often happens is that old version of you doesn't want to die. That old version of you wants to hang on for dear life. And so it can get really challenging and it can feel tempting to go back to your old way of being. That's why connecting to desire and really creating that future focus of who you're becoming and what's available for that new version of you to be strong. You want to get that desire and really build it up and dial it up as much as you possibly can. The second thing that would be very beneficial as you undertake this process is to really define what it is you want. What are the goals associated with becoming this new person? What is it that you want to experience in your life as a result? Another piece of foundation is to understand who you are and how you operate best. Now, this is a topic that's so big and so juicy and so large that I can't really dive deeply into it in this video, although I have a lot of videos on this topic of who are you, your core identity, your personality, strengths and weaknesses. That's all part of my personal development content, my self-awareness content. But for the purposes of this video, think about how you operate best. So for example, I'm an extrovert. I love people and I get a lot of energy from being around people. When I am looking to transform, it helps me to have other people helping me on the path. It helps me to have a coach or a mentor. It helps me to have a peer group. It helps me to be external in my transformation, to be able to talk about it out loud, to be able to brainstorm with people. And I'm not like everybody. Not everybody's like me. So you want to think about what's your operating system? How do you work best? Are you someone who operates in spurts and you like intensity and then you like to take breaks? Or are you somebody that's more of a slow and steady wins the race? Are you external? Are you internal? What motivates you? What drives you, right? So the more you can understand yourself, the more you can kind of hack the process of personal transformation. The third thing to prepare for any sort of transformation like this is to create a plan of action, a plan with strategies and techniques and systems. Now that I say all that, I'm realizing this might sound a little heavy and like a lot of work, and it is, and perhaps consider one thing at a time. Becoming a whole new person involves a lot of changes all at once. Now, you might be somebody who does really well with drastic full life change, in which case you might want to move and dump all your friends and get a new mentor and clean out your whole closet and do it all at once, right? You might be that kind of person. Or you might be like okay, let's do one thing first, methodically, get that complete, and then move on to the next thing. Again, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about your operating system. Now, before I continue, I do want to take a moment and just remind you to please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to my channel. In that plan, you might want to look at both the projects and the ongoing activities associated with your transformation. So like I mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned in other videos, a lot of times when we're doing a big transformation process, we want a whole new wardrobe, right? So there's a project there of perhaps cleaning out your closet and making space for the new version of your wardrobe to start to populate your closet, right? There are projects, and then there are also ongoing activities. So if you're thinking about, I want to be healthy and strong and vibrant, well, one of those activities might be to do yoga 3 times a week. That could be a practice. So we have the projects, which are these one-time kind of things that you need to do, maybe moving to a new city or a new country even. And then there are the practices, which are the ongoing activities that create the consistency and the change of identity over time. Now, as you're implementing your plan, as you're putting it into practice, it's really important to do a few things to integrate the work that you're doing. I would say number one is to give yourself space to notice and reflect upon the changes. Because what can happen, we can get so caught up in the transformation and moving into that future version, we might even forget how far we've come. And one of the biggest issues and challenges, I'll say, that I see with clients is that they don't even celebrate their own progress. They don't even acknowledge themselves for what they're doing or how far they've come. They're only focused on what they don't have yet. Like, for example, clients may say, all right, I want to transform into a masterful salesperson, a masterful enroller, right? And my goal is to get 10 sales this quarter into my retreat or into my big back end or whatever. And they don't acknowledge each sale along the way, right? They're only fixated on that 10 number. And then the first person they sell, well, yeah, I sold 1, but it's not 10, right? And the second and the third, and that's kind of how it feels all the way up till maybe getting really close to that 10 number. And the problem with that is that, as you've heard me say, to quote my mentor, Nani Leah Diamond, the energy from which we create guides and determines the energy of what we create. So if we're trying to create mastery in sales, but we're coming from the energy of it's never enough, it's not good enough, I'm not there yet, then that's the energy that you're infusing into this transformation, into this process, right? So I invite you to give yourself space to reflect and celebrate and to course correct along the way, to really bless the transformation that you're having and also be aware of, okay, this is what I want next. And this is where we are. I appreciate where we've been. I appreciate where we've come from. And this is what's still available, right? What the possibility that I'm still going for. Another thing that comes up as I share this is to practice self-compassion, giving yourself the space and grace to not be perfect at the new version, right? It took a whole lifetime to become this version of practice, right? And practice makes perfect. You became this perfect version of you, even if you are perfectly imperfect, right? It's going to take practice to become the next version. So giving yourself the compassion and the love when you maybe don't do it, like when you skip yoga for a week or when you eat a big old bowl of truffle butter popcorn. I'm not saying I know anybody who does that. And also be open to new experiences, right? Like part of the beauty of becoming someone new is that you can look at the world with new eyes and have a completely different experience of the world. So be open to how life starts to shift and change and organize around this new person. It might feel a little uncomfortable. It might feel, what I've seen with my clients and with myself is that it can feel uncomfortable to stretch into new experiences and to receive. Like I remember one time part of my journey has been opening myself up to receiving love and admiration and respect from people, right? Because I had a belief that I was never good enough, never enough. And so there was this one particular time when all my clients gathered around and they all were pouring love on me and giving me gifts. And I remember feeling like, it's too much. I can't. And luckily my mentor was there with me when this happened. And he was the one that invited me. He said, just open, just let yourself feel this experience. Let yourself be with it. And it's not just the positive experiences. I mean, I think it's more common to resist the quote unquote negative ones, the ones that are more challenging, more difficult. And I invite you to open to those too and feel all the feelings so that you can widen your total experience of life, your bandwidth for all of life. If this was valuable for you and you're curious about what it would look like to work with me to grow your business in a way that's in alignment with your true nature, with your deepest desires and your gifts and your strengths, then you can find out more about how I work at superstaractivator.com/go.